everybody. Another week's edition of the Skookum Session, Bigfoot podcast. Jeremiah, and I have the honor of being joined by Gary tonight. As usual, Gary, how's it going? Sorry, guys, I'm a lot of it today.
I guess as good as could be expected since P3 Productions is running on emergency power.
That's awesome.
We're running on a damn generator.
What happened out there? Just normal weather,
just wind. Weather. It drives me nuts. Here I am living in a city, and I've got less abundant power than my dad does at the farm, 80 miles out in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, I guess a windstorm came through and knocked the power line down. We've been without power since like 4 o'clock this afternoon.
God damn, man. John, how's it going? Mr. John Schweitzer, everybody.
Man, I am good. I am so good, man. I tell you what, I have been eating 6 pounds of candy for the last, that is what 6 pounds of candy looks like. Would you believe somebody dropped 3 of them off here?
Just dropped them off?
Yeah, that's 6 pounds of candy, 3 6-pound bags of candy.
I just thought this was your natural self, but good.
Oh,
yeah, I was wondering. I knew something was a little off.
Oh man, no, it's like I got this stuff in my house. No, I'm.
Now, why you asked me tonight if I did I sleep since our last conversation?
Oh yeah,
but Jesus, man, you scared me there for a second.
I know. Well, I'll tell you what, it's like Christmas, out in the car, fighting traffic, stopping and getting coffee, hot chocolate, rum, and coffee, and more rum and hot chocolate.
I got you.
Taking stuff back. I mean, honest to gosh, we ordered something from a very well-known sportsman's. Yeah. Geez, they got guides there too, right? And we ordered stuff 3 times. The first order, they go cancel. Second order, they go cancel. I'm like, what the hell? Excuse me.
Oh,
oh my God, it was our Christmas, and it's not here yet, and it's supposed to be here tonight.
Yeah.
On the third order, we ordered it 3 times. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, right. It's been like pulling your hair out because it's like, oh, okay, is the Christmas gifts here? I mean, dude.
It's pretty crazy.
Mine is a cartridge belt and a holster. I know what it is. It's not here yet.
You get yourself in trouble, John. All right, everybody.
I'm good. Go ahead.
All right, good deal. We got Israel back tonight. Israel, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, gentlemen?
Good, man. Good.
On leave and cranking out some projects, getting better at the wood carving, or trying to at least.
Yeah, it looked pretty good, man. How many more days you got on leave?
Oh, no, I just started this week, man. I took 2 weeks off. I had to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Good deal, man.
Because cool. If you don't take them.
What else is new? Anything?
So.
What else is new?
Nothing much, man. Nothing. Just hanging out with the family and, dealing with the craziness of Fort Hood.
Yeah. Cool.
Down at the hood, man. I hate that place.
Yeah.
Well, folks,
that's your old stomping grounds too, Gary.
Yeah, I spent a little time down there with the 4th ID. Yeah. Before we go any further, I got to say something, man. It's Mr. Israel put me in tears the other day. Sent me a message and a picture of this patch. Told me a story about it. He said he got it off of was it a colonel?
No, it was a general.
A general from the Mongolian army.
Oh, cool. Yep.
And of course, everybody knows that me being Mongolian and SOB, I love you, brother. I'm almost in tears now. He's sending it to me. He says, this fits you better than it does me, and it's just little things like that with you.
That's cool, man.
It really is. I mean, it blew my mind, it is just little things you guys do keep me going.
It is, man. That's what it's all about. Absolutely. That is pretty cool.
Sometimes you go to places and you get things and you don't quite know why you get them. And then in the future, you're like, now
that's why I got it.
That's why I got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we actually pulled up the patch itself. I want to make sure, but it's actually Mongolian infantry.
Yeah. I didn't know
pretty
that.
Badass.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, it would make sense because they were the ones who were protecting the base.
Yeah.
Very cool. That is very cool. But yeah, everybody, we got Colin. How's it going? We got Colin Douglas back with us tonight.
Hey,
Colin,
guys.
What's up, buddy?
Not much. Been a busy day. If you hear any snoring while you all were talking, I'm just resting my eyes.
Man, listen to that stinking audio on him. I'm making me jealous over here. I'm running on my bare necessities, and he's like blasting.
I've just got a
You know, he's so crystal.
cheap ass YouTube USB headset here, guys.
What was the George Midnight in the Desert? Yeah, I've got that radio voice.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, Colin, you've never officially met John. John is.
I've met John.
He's been on once.
Okay.
I
Before,
was on that one time. Yeah.
Well,
back.
Here's my two musician guys and my audio guys right here. Colin, you and John need to get together on some of this audio stuff. John's been a musician all over the planet, just about.
Cool.
I've played with some of the big boys. Yeah.
I know a few chords.
No, a few chords, my ass.
I've been working at the same cowboy chord since 1962. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like I said, I know a few chords. I'm no great shakes, but I have fun.
Shit.
That's just my. That's my number 2.
SG,
on
baby.
stage. Oh yeah.
Gen 2, actually. Yeah.
I been playing with this today, so.
Oh, there you go.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got 3 Les Pauls over here and a Telecaster, but
I've got a Mexican Strat in the back.
It plays good.
And I've got my
well, they do, yeah.
My keyboards over here.
Oh, excellent, man.
And I got a Hammond Concord in the back with a Roland JX8P on top of it.
Damn.
That's not bad.
He, like I said, when it comes to technology, man, he's the one that's been teaching me.
He's the man.
So
now, if I only had the chops to play all the instruments I have, I'd be in great shape.
If you like to sit, there's nothing like keyboards. You know, I mean, that's,
yeah. Well, I've got a mandolin, a cello, and a flute in the other room. I can't play any of those. So.
Well, you can't sing when you're doing those either. I found that out. That's why I've started playing guitar. And then
John, you want to take the spotlight tonight then, and kind of run us through what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah.
Photos.
Well, tell us the story. Tell us
photos.
I know it's a very passionate subject for you. I know.
God, Lord, Jiminy, God help me. All right, a very good friend of mine, Jeff Williams, is a cartoonist, and he's very good at that. Does video on YouTube, which I'm a little crazy. I'm voiceover for him on several of his cartoons. He's a wildlife artist, photographer, so forth. It was brought to my attention some time back. I saw this photo, and when I first saw it, I went, "Oh no, this is supposed to be 2 aliens, and it's not 2 aliens." And my God, it was all over YouTube. Aliens. My God, they finally got picture of 2 aliens standing side by side, holding hands or something, but they're next to a column. And to me, it looks like it's been inserted in Photoshop, but these aliens are not aliens, but they are truly life form. Really, honest to God, naked barn owls. Okay. Now, with a little Photoshop, you can get some of the roughness of the feathers off of them.
Right.
Barn owls have really long legs, and several other kind of owls have long legs. If you ever see them pick up something and fly away with it, you're lucky. Look at the length of their legs, man. They have got some strong gams down there. At any rate, Jeff showed me, he says, whoever did this should have removed the beaks. And I went, yeah. And he goes, well, let me take a look at that. And I said, all right, well, get back to me. He goes, no, hang on a second. Within a minute, 2 minutes, he had the beaks removed. And he showed me these photos again. Then he went on into depth of showing me, he looked up a picture of a barn owl, a baby barn owl, standing. Good Lord. All I can say is that, if all you've got is photographs, you ain't got squatch.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. I mean, it's photographs are nice. And as far as I'm concerned, I think the rest of you guys think this way too. They're great for your own reference.
Right.
Absolutely.
They're great for your own notes. They're great to keep for yourself, and don't plaster them all over the place for others to see, so you can go, look what I've got, and start arguments on different Facebook sites and forums and so forth. There are going to be a bunch of you out there disagree. That freaking old man.
You're always going to have someone disagree with it.
Oh, yeah. That freaking old man doesn't know what he's talking about. But guess what? I've been in cinema, Hollywood. Last movie I was in was Last of the Mohican.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
1992. All right. 91, actually. It was released in 92.
Y'all know that, by the way? John was in Last of the Mohicans?
That's cool.
Speaking of which, we need to have a conversation about that, John, because one of my best friends was also in Last of the Mohicans.
Was he?
Yeah, his name is Lanny North.
Well, you know what? There was 700 Native Americans and a bunch of white guys.
Yep.
And I saw. There's all I can tell you is there was awful with that many people. There, I had 300 or 400. We'll say Caucasians. Poor old white boys in a world full of experts. And about 700 Native Americans. And, here I'm in part 8th quarter Cherokee, and I'm shining like a snowball in the coal bin. But
John, let me cut you off real quick. I'm just curious. By the time when that scene you were in the movie, were they in North Carolina filming at that point, or were they still up in the Adirondacks?
I was outside. Well, everything I did was outside Morganton, North Carolina.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Lake James. The fort is not there, but you can still go to the area. The road that runs along I tell you this. We get in this sometimes just for grins and giggles.
I was just curious. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the road that runs along, I think it's the east side of Lake James, was covered with like 12 inches of clay.
Okay.
They had covered it, packed it down. That's where the scene of all the tents were. And they were all set up in about 12 inches of clay. Then they go through there and they remove it. They tore the fort down because it would have been condemned. The fort was so realistic looking that I can tell you one time I walked, it was like, well, hell, I'm going to get out of here. And I walked up to a door, grabbed a hold of it. It was like, why ain't this door opening? And the guy was standing there laughing. He goes, because there ain't nothing on the other side except more plywood. It was just a door. All right. Cool. I was tired at first day started at 6 o'clock in the morning and ended at, that was on a Monday morning, and it ended at 4 o'clock Tuesday morning.
Wow.
And then I was up again at 11, and that's kind of,
Very cool.
I've been in most of the Pioneer series on TV or on the History Channel. It cut in and out, from different segments. Anyway, that's a fun thing to do. It was never a career. It's something I always like to go and see what other people do. It's always nice if you can do it. Go see what
it's nice when you have a little knowledge on another.
Yeah.
How they do. Well, it's like you're talking here tonight about the photos.
The photos, and I've worked in a photo store. I've worked in with 35 millimeter film when you used to have to take it into a Photoshop and get it developed.
Right.
A lot of interesting photos you could make.
I bet.
Duplicates of, but yellow ones, right, Gary? Yellow ones.
Yeah.
But nice yellow ones.
Yeah. I got lots of them. Nice.
Oh my God.
So John, back to this photo, so how did it proceed from there? Well, he just
he sent the photos. Yeah. Oh yeah. Photoshop. I don't have Photoshop set up on my computer. My computer's just, for this and like encyclopedia and shopping.
Same here. I don't have the technological.
I don't have. Yeah.
Skills like these guys do.
Yeah. Computer. I'm a chimpanzee with a cell phone and a hammer.
Same here.
Just But Jeff did this in such a way that he showowed me kind of like a transgression,
Transgression. Yeah.
And Gary, I don't know if you can get any of that up.
I'll pull it up real quick. Sorry, I was still dealing with my power outage over here.
Well, feed the squirrel, man. Be all right. But yeah, I don't know. These pictures were up on the internet. Anything up on the internet as far as a picture goes, fair game. And that's the problem with when you get into Don't had to be a Bigfoot. Now look, there you go. There you go.
So which direction you want to go?
All right.
So that's the original right there.
That right there is a barn owl, a baby barn owl. Okay. A kind of a plump little sucker too.
He is.
So then you take a little bit of the Photoshop from what I understand in the next one, and you take some stuff and move it around a little bit. Now you got baby barn owls standing. These two little birds have beaks on them. Now, I don't know if the next one will do it. Now, the lower picture, if you notice, the beaks have been removed.
I see that.
Does it look more like a gray, a plump gray?
I mean, if that's what they're going for. I mean,
Not to me, don't.
No, it still looks like.
If that's what they think they look like, I guess. I mean,
yeah. Well, see, when you don't have any real pictures of grays, and then this comes up, and someone says, this is what they really look like, and you notice it's got a column behind it,
Yeah, I see it.
But at first I thought that when I saw it, I thought these were barn owls that had been killed, stuffed. They might be,
Well, I mean, I'm glad we're touching on this a little bit. We deal with a lot of this in our field.
Yeah.
Me personally,
let me say something real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are so many photographs out there floating around that I see, and all of us do. I've seen the same photograph for years, and every time I see it, it's different. What is the one that we saw that was supposed to be in the Adirondacks? And then it ended up being out of Canada. And every time you look at it, it's taken. Yeah, I have the good authority.
I know the picture you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is though.
Looks like that picture could almost be a bear, in my opinion. Any bear?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's the one of the Sasquatch sitting, and you see the backside, and the arm is out like this.
Oh yeah.
And you can't see the head. Well, the first time it came out that I took notice of it, Jeremiah even mentioned it was in the Adirondacks. And then the next time, the next time I see it, it's in Alberta, Canada.
Alberta, yeah.
There's a Sasquatch on Colin's camera.
Yeah.
You see the
next time it'll be in Colin's garage. I mean, these things are
good Lord.
There you go. Yeah, they're just floating around everywhere.
But prime example of how easy a photo can be manipulated or how it can be misconstrued. I mean, if that would have been a trail camera and you seen that fur coming across the camera,
oh my God,
I didn't mean to interrupt you, John, but it's right on what you're saying.
No, I mean that's a perfect example.
Go ahead. You're right. Yeah. I mean, I've seen so many squirrels' tails.
Oh yeah.
On a camera, and they go, "This is Sasquatch, man.
It's got to be a Bigfoot.
It has to be a Sasquatch. It's on a camera." It's like we said earlier. All of these vocalizations that you hear. Mm-hmm. Now, if somebody knows that there's a bunch of them screaming in the woods in an area, I suppose a person could go and set up and be ready for all of that. But there are so many out there that is. This has got to be a Sasquatch. And, I've heard it, and it's like an elk. Yeah. Or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's recorded on like a cell phone.
Yep.
Now, cell phones are convenient, but they really don't and record real well. And we've all talked about how that sound jumps around in valleys and hollers and mountainsides. And by the time it gets to you, it's kind of a wore out sound. That's the best way I can describe it to somebody. Well, photos are, oh God, why did you pick that? Photos. Photos, man. Photos.
Well, the thing about it is with the technology and stuff we have now that they're so easily to be manipulated.
You're right.
Or you can make anything. And that's been the biggest thing for me with all these photos that are thrown at us is like, nobody has good pictures. Well, there's good pictures out there, but they're being ripped apart by these experts, and that's fine. But one thing that I'm tired of hearing is, the Sasquatch electrical sense can change the camera. We discussed that the other night. 90% of the time, the reason people's not getting good photographs of a Sasquatch, because me being a photographer, John, you're a photographer, Israel, you do photography, Colin, you do photography. It takes a lot. It's not like shooting a rifle. Shooting a rifle is instinctual for us. Doing the focus on the camera, getting the aperture and everything right is hard to do. But 90% of the time, when you're coming face to face with one of these guys, the last thing you're thinking about is raising a freaking camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know, something that I think would be a very good exercise for people that have groups that want to go out squatching. All right, get one of your squatching friends and put a doggone ghillie suit on him. Have him go out and hide in the woods.
Gary, we talked about that the other night.
Especially somebody with some skill.
Have everybody with a camera in their pocket. Now you're walking. Now we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. It's going to be on an open trail. Now have your friend in this ghillie suit out there. Have him jump up and run across the trail about 50 yards. And these people with the cameras, with the cell phones, with whatever camera in their hands, have no idea of when it's going to happen, how far he's going to be. It's just going to happen.
There you go, Colin.
Yeah. So
you see how quick he whipped that up there like that?
This is just an example. This is the content aware Phil. See his beak? It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and that looks like the white owl on the cigar box, if anybody remembers him. You know?
It's that easy, you know. I mean,
there you go. Yeah, can you get rid of the feathers on the chin or make the
probably?
line?
But I'm a little rusty on my Photoshop, so.
No, that's pretty cool. And you're able to do that. Yeah. But have a fella in a ghillie suit jump up, see who can take a picture of him.
Right.
I mean, give him 2 to 3 seconds. Give him 5 seconds, and then have him go someplace else. Walk that trail a little. He can jump up, run the other way.
Don't do it around Gary. You might get judged.
What do you think, Israel? You think that would work that's almost isn't there a shooting drill, something like that in the military?
I think we talked about it the other day. Instead of saying that, I told them to go outside, let your dog run around and try to get the motion shots. But you're absolutely correct. At the time, you can practice all day long, but at the time, those 2 or 3 seconds, you're fumbling around with anything that you have, unless you're walking around at the ready, like we say, you know, with the camera like on your face, and you're not going to be walking around like that. But you're just going to be walking about up and around, and it's like you said, it's only going to give you a couple seconds, if at best.
You got to be able to react. You got to be able to point the camera. You have to be able to focus on what's going on. Even with autofocus lens, you'll be hard pressed within a 2 or 3 second period.
I have a hiking staff that I have a little Canon camera here, and I get it out of here. Yeah, and this Canon camera, it's an older one, but will it open up? Hell, I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Little Canon camera, okay, and it, okay. It has a spot right on the bottom to put on a hiking staff or to mount the camera, right? Okay, I carry it on a hiking staff, and so it's right there.
That's cool.
All right, and all I got to do is go flip, right? But first I got to turn it on, because the thing runs out, turns itself off if you're not using it. I can record video. I have never been able to get a deer running across my path with this. And
let me ask you guys a question. So what you're saying, if you're going to get a photo of something, it wouldn't be a bad idea maybe to, too bad, you couldn't catch them on a Polaroid every time, because that'd be hard to manipulate, wouldn't it? A Polaroid photo? An old Polaroid? You can't really manipulate an old Polaroid.
Absolutely. And there's a go in theory.
You know what I'm saying, right, Gary?
Yeah, there's even a go in theory that the older style cameras, like the old mechanical wind shutter cameras, they can't manipulate it as much as they can electrical.
Right. Oh, okay? So I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's a good point. But
you think about the most prime example of video would be the Patterson-Gimlin film, and it was literally filmed on an old Reel 8 camera.
8mm.
Yeah.
And he had to have that sucker cranked up to start with. That was a hand crank.
That was a hand crank. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't electric, and it was
Yeah.
a spring. That doggone thing wound that film through there and took it. You know what? You got to be able to pull it up, sight it, click, and it's not like shooting a gun.
No.
No, it's a whole different ball game, and I don't know anybody that can do that. I mean, you got a lot of. That's why I said so much video out there is fake.
Yeah.
You know, it's set up. You can't see the Sasquatch.
Well, I mean, a lot of it is, yeah, for sure.
Well, you know, it's like Israel. We had a discussion a while back about, you know, practice. And that's one thing that me and Colin does, and we're starting up even more, is we go out with our cameras. I mean, most of us are practiced with rifles. I mean, that's just the way we are. But he's kind of taking me out and training me with, when I say training me, we're just going out shooting, and you just get used to what we call running and gunning. You know, you're just pop, shooting pictures. That way you don't have to think about what you're doing.
Same principle then.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, but 90% of the people are not going to be doing this. I mean,
Right.
you're not gonna get at that level now. Where I think the photography comes in, and like what you were saying, John, earlier, is you're so tired of seeing all of them. But where I think the photography comes in is on scene analysis. Like when you come into, and that's Israel's department, when you come in and you find tracks, don't take a single God blessed picture. Oh, I found the track. Click. Oh, there it is. Shoot it at different angles and shoot the whole trail scene coming in. You know,
Israel has slapped my hand many a time for that.
Absolutely.
You ever notice how most wildlife photographs are of standing animals? I just seen red eyeshine come through your window, Gary. Do you suppose that's a Bigfoot out there?
We got him on video.
Did anybody else see that? Jeez. You don't suppose it could be brake lights, do you?
I guarantee it's brake lights. Now, if you see something looking in that window, don't tell me, because I'm going out that door.
Right.
All right.
Y'all know that's one of my biggest fears, is having something looking in a window at me after what happened.
For good reason, man.
Or banging on the window, telling you, turn it down.
But
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, that's a good point, Gary. You know, Israel's chewed my ass many times for doing that. You know, one picture right above the footprint with a shitload of light. You know, but yeah, I mean,
I would say go out there in to the area that you're expected to go, you know, walk around and search around, to go, you know, a couple of days before and get your camera settings on par.
right.
Because when you're out there, it's not the time to be fumbling around and trying to get it to the settings that, because and Colin will tell you, you know, the differences between night and days of those settings are truly different. So knowing those little bitty things helps out, I think.
Save you some time and stuff anyway. Huh?
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Colin.
I was just going to say there's two things about it. Don't be afraid to put your camera in automatic mode. Set your ISO to automatic. Use autofocus, and make sure you're shooting raw if you have the option.
Yeah. And another thing that people overlook too, you know, with me getting this DSLR that I've got, and it's not a high dollar camera. Colin's been teaching me a little bit, and I think I showed you guys the difference in the two pictures back by my shed back here. The one with the naked eye, and then one where I was playing with the low light levels.
I think you showed, it was me in Israel. You showed at the.
Oh yeah, you one was doing the tutorial deal.
Yeah.
The amount of light that these things can pick up is, you know, far greater than ours. So you might not see it with your naked eye, but if you can take pictures of it, you could see it even more.
Yes, I will say
If
that.
you get your sighting right.
That doesn't mean it just came through some kind of a porthole. That means it was there
Absolutely.
all of the time. It's just your eyes didn't see it.
Right. No, and that's true, because I've even, you're talking just regular animals. I mean, even with something like that, I found many things, and not even Sasquatch related, is my point, after on a photo I've taken that I didn't see with my naked eye beforehand. You know what I mean? So I see what you're saying, Gary. That's a good point.
Well, you know, my wife came up with an idea a few years back that we've done some. We haven't really pushed it the last year or so because with the health issues.
Right.
But I got into real hooked into long range photography because of my military background and doing long range shooting with her. and we was taking what is that, Colin? A 2,000 millimeter zoom that I've got.
That one you got?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's a pretty good, kind of a fun little telescope, is what it is.
Yeah, it is that exactly that. It's not even a automatic focus. But we was going down the south. I think it's a 1,000 with a double, so it might be a 2,000.
It's like an
or is it
F8
with a double, F8 something.
Yeah.
It's a little cheapy we bought because poor boys, we can't afford much. But make a long story short, I got me a good surveyor's tripod, and we would go up on the mountaintops in southeastern Oklahoma and get on a mountaintop and use it on a video setting and scan the water lines. And you would not believe the animals that we was picking up, like the deer,
Right.
from a half a mile to 3/4 of a mile away. And we got to thinking about it. That might be the way
To do it.
to get it
Yeah.
from a distance. And we had, all right, generator, quit.
I can see your lights flickering.
Yeah. Look at this thing. I
Oh
haven't
my
played
God.
with this yet.
Oh, wow.
I bet you his is bigger than mine.
It has sights on it. Can you see that?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. How much
No.
thrust does that have?
It's an old 500 millimeter f4.5. It's
Oh.
kind of blurry and has bad chromatic aberrations, but
And does like a medical kind of waiver comes with that for your back? I mean, for carrying.
yeah,
it?
you're not hand holding this.
No, no.
Yeah, you don't mount this to the camera. You mount the camera to this.
Come on to this, yeah.
Right.
Now I got this off eBay a while back, and it's not the greatest lens in the world, but I have a soft spot in my heart for it.
We're pretty quick. We
Yeah.
fix and go get down on some hilltops with that.
Yeah.
right in mind.
I like astronomy, and that doggone thing would get
Oh yeah.
the moons
Yeah.
in Jupiter. I bet you.
We
Just looking for yeah.
just kind of a crazy change of subject.
No, it-
Colin's got a bonfire.
Not that powerful.
Kind of got a bonfire night. We're gonna do some time lapse bee footage of the sky down there at my farm in southeastern Oklahoma. See if we can. I've been playing with time lapse a little bit, but that's
I'm really rusty on that stuff, man.
Very cool.
to give you an idea. I filmed an hour and a half of time lapse today, and when I went to play it, it was 2 seconds long.
Ooh.
It was bad. But no, the whole point I was getting at at a distance like that, I think that's how we're going to have to do it, because these things are far too smart.
Yeah.
And that's the reason when somebody says they have a good photograph of one, if they're driving down the road and they got a picture, or if it was like guys are doing like we were saying before the show, everything that we can think of to do has been done in this community. It's just going to take the right spot and the right luck of getting it done. And
Time and place, the right time.
That's it, man.
absolutely.
Because I sent you guys that thing that I was watching, what Connected.
Yeah.
And the first episode was surveillance, and they were using geotagging on small birds and stuff like that. And I was asking them, had they tried that, on Bigfoot and stuff like that? And they were telling me no. Well, it could be. It's done before, but since they, brushing up against trees or whatnot, it'd be kind of hard to tag them.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. I forget how I know it's been done in our field, but I mean, the only way you'd be able to do it is get it underneath the skin. Like you were saying, Gary. I mean, they're gonna probably groom. They groom.
Yeah.
We think.
Well, and with the intelligence that they have, I mean, I'm sure they're going to notice,
something
is there. It has been tried. There's been a couple of, like I was telling y'all, there was a group here in Oklahoma that did it, and then I found another group out of British Columbia that just done it. But this whole distance thing and the photography thing, folks, I'll be releasing a show shortly after the first of the year where I'm working with a good friend of mine, Pat Turner, and he owns a drone company, drone avionics. And I think this might be the next step. I really think, because you can cover so much area. You can cover 10 square miles in about 4 minutes. And it's so unobtrusive to the target species.
I was going to ask you, what kind of noise does it make? That thing make?
The one that we've got, I mean, you can hear it probably from 40, 50 foot away. There's other ones that are a little bit louder, you know, the more powerful ones.
Yeah.
But you think about it, if this thing's moving that fast, and especially if you're using thermal, I mean,
Right.
in that show, I've got some clips of thermal and FLIR from like 300 yards away.
Yeah.
300 yards, folks, that's 900 foot.
That's
Well, yeah. So if they're 900 foot in the air, you're not going to hear it.
It's true.
There's so many airplanes and aircraft that fly over. I
They'd
mean,
almost
I
be
don't-
desensitized.
I don't pay attention half of them unless there's like a warthog coming in, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Animals don't. You know, a jet goes over, you think a deer really looks up to go, oh my God, that's a 747.
Probably not.
No, I'm sure they don't, you know. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. That's the only thing I was curious about was kind of, you know.
I mean, they're really not bad. Some of these, you know, they got these little whisper drones now that, you know, maybe 50 to 70 decibels. And that's not, I mean, we do have to get Pat on and let him talk about that because that's,
Okay.
But I mean, these things are just covering so much area. And we discussed that all in the show. I'm trying to get all the editing done on it.
Right.
But I think
What's the price on that, man? Like a small car?
well, I mean, you can get cheaper drones. I mean, you can get them down to $100, but the one that he's looking at purchasing and with the camera is about 10 grand. But we're talking Generation 3 FLIR technology that can get down to a half of the degree at 300 yards. And
this isn't like one of the cheapies where it's flying.
No.
Okay, all right, man.
This is like Department of Defense type stuff. This is like
okay, so that's why I
the
asked.
Raptors,
huh?
like the Raptor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very
absolutely.
cool.
Well, like the little what do they call them? The Phantoms, the little backpack
Yeah,
unit.
the Phantom. They got the Raptor.
Yeah. The little backpack unit that they're using over in Afghanistan right now is just phenomenal. You know, it's got about 30 or 40-minute flight time, and it's about this big, and the camera and the FLIR on it, and they can run it inside buildings and stuff. It's just the technology is, and that's the biggest thing for me is I'm going to say it. You know, we discussed the other night about them being a little bit more supernatural. We've got the technology now. It's just a matter of focusing the technology on. If we don't catch something in the next 20 years, then these things has got to walk through portals.
Yeah. Right. If it's gonna come, you know, it'll be like you said in the next 20 years or so. If you know,
probably invest in some GoPros then, because they got some nice GoPros. I mean, that'd be a different thing to use.
Yeah,
when you're walking around.
I swear by them. I've got, matter of fact, me and Colin. Yeah, I've got one. Matter of fact, I'm filming off of one right now. But my web camera, I'm using a GoPro for a web camera. I'm really stuck on them. I've been doing 90% of my filming, you know, for the production side of it with GoPros. But another thing too, folks, is these things will film just as good as a GoPro, and they'll actually last longer. The batteries, I can film up to like 6 hours of 1080p, 30 feet per second with this thing, where my GoPro battery's dead in 45 minutes.
Right.
You know? And they got gimbals for these. Matter of fact, I'm building a gimbal right now to mount this rascal right here.
Yep.
There's the technology is there. Ian saying that, going back to our original subject of a lot of the manipulation that we're seeing with photographs, and it's so funny, you know, and I hate to say this, and I know I'm going to get ripped for it, but I'm so sick of people taking pictures and then circling. Oh, look at them shadows. I think a squatch.
What's the saying, John? If you got to circle it, what?
Yeah. Oh God. If you got, what did I say?
If you got a circle,
if you got a circle, you ain't got squatch. Yeah,
yeah. It's like, really, folks. I mean,
I'll tell you, that's the elusive red circle. I don't know. I've never seen any of them when I've been in the woods, but I'm always looking for them yellow arrows and red circles.
Well,
to me, it looks like a phallic symbol that's been broken off, and they're trying to find each other. Yeah,
I understand. You know, if you look at the behavior, the known behavior of the target species, I understand it's going to be hard to catch them because the main thing that we was taught in the military is you keep 2 to 3 levels of fauna in front of you and your target. You always have 2 or 3 layers deep of some kind of vegetation or blockage. We call it cover. Well, you even look at gorillas. You know, it's so funny how you'll see pictures of gorillas and they'll pull a limb over and stick it in front of their face, and big old gorilla sitting here. But that even in their simple mentality, that's the way they think of things. And you know, like we was talking about Jeremiah about them, how they'll hunker down and into a stump, and you think that they're a stump. I think these guys has gotten far more of an intelligence than what we're giving them credit for.
They gotta. I mean, the gorilla, like you brought up a good point a second ago. Gorillas alone, you can walk by a gorilla on a trail, and they could be 50 feet away from you, not even, and you're not gonna know he's there.
Well, it's just like what happened to you the other night, how it was circling 10 yards to where it could see you.
Oh, when I was out back.
Yeah, you couldn't see it, and then you went in and found the tracks.
Couldn't see shit. Yeah, I couldn't see Jack, and I knew it was there though. You know, you could hear him. You know, but
one of the
where you pull that camera out and take pictures, like we were talking about earlier.
That time of night, it wouldn't have done no good because that rascal was dark.
Yeah, it was pretty black. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good point, Gary, about the gorillas. I mean, because you can walk by them on a trail. And
prime example, even in the mainstream movies, of what I've over the years seen in survival skills and multiple, probably hundreds of accounts of listening to people. There's an old movie with Lance Henriksen in it that used to be called Sasquatch. They actually changed the name where he owns a high-tech computer company, and his daughter was hauling this little box that does DNA, and the plane got ripped down and the Sasquatch attacked him, and he goes out in there. But the whole point of it is, I'll try to find some clips of it, but you see the way this thing moves in the woods, and it's always like 30, 40 yards off, and it's always I don't know. They had to do it because this came back in the early 90s, early to mid 90s. And the way this thing was, the way they portrayed it, turning its head like this and walking with it hunched over, and it always stayed behind trees and stuff. It was so iconic to me because that's the way they actually behave,
Right.
But that was another prime example of, you try to take pictures of it. Even the way they made it film, you couldn't see it from a distance. It was just a blur,
Yeah. It's very, very cool. Yeah. It's true though. I mean, you see in a lot of these movies where they had to have done their homework, because they portray them so right on the money to how we think they really are. But Israel, let me ask you a question. Doing what you do for a living, how much you must come across a lot of photos that have been, what's the word I'm looking for?
Manipulated.
Tampered with.
Yeah, thank you, Gary.
Screwed with, yeah.
Honestly, you don't see it too much. I mean, it's bad to say you don't see it too much.
Yeah.
Because and it's like we said the other day. The question is why? Why are you taking the picture? So for us, the ultimate goal is to go to trial. True. So you typically don't get anybody who wants to tamper with it because you're going to be testifying against it or for it.
Right.
So I don't typically see people tampering with the pictures. But John, I'm with John. Pictures are for your personal use in your circle. You take the pictures but the pictures alone, like you said, I mean, people can argue it all day.
Sure.
It's the other stuff that you do with it that'll make your story credible. The establishing shots, the good interviews, the credible information for the area, and that's where you do the trends. I was going to say crime trends, but when you do the trends of the reported sites, all that information compiled is what's going to make those pictures more believable.
Right. Yeah. So your two or other pieces of evidence alongside of the picture.
You have to. Yeah, you have to. Because just one piece of evidence by itself, somebody can poke holes at it all day.
Sure. You're going to.
Because you can show me a picture right now, and then I'm sure somebody else will be questioning everything on there.
Absolutely.
But then when you present everything else, you say, no, but then I went and talked to this person, and like I think, John, you said is the rule of three, right? You talk to three people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that sort of breaks up the group, breaks up. So, I gotta ask you, Israel, when it comes down to evidence, all right, or proof, I understand that in many cases, the lack of somebody wanting to present evidence or to present proof also goes against them, and the outcome may not be the way they want it to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, does that happen?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, but you can't really use it. I can't say you can't use it against them. It looks bad, right? Because you get a lot of victims that let's say for talking purposes, sexual assault. You get a lot that they report it, but then afterwards they recant because they noticed, that the person that they had the report against is their moneymaker, right?
Right.
So they halfway through they stop giving us the help or willing to cooperate. So absolutely, you get people that at a certain point they don't want to help out or give us that evidence, and then when it goes to court, unfortunately, there's not enough evidence and it could get thrown out
Without that help, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, without evidence, you ain't got squatch.
pretty much what he's saying.
You both brought up
Yeah.
a very important point, and that's one thing that I think we all as a group, with this roundtable thing, and especially Jeremiah and Israel we're working on the FSI shows.
Yep.
But you see it so much in this community and in this subject matter of, just like the other day when I tagged you in that post on the group, the guys holding the big cast, and I asked, is there a backstory? Is there any other trail? And they're like, oh, if you want to see it, pay $5 and come look at it. Yeah, or you can pay $30 and come out with us and we'll show you. I'm like,
Yeah.
You have to have correlating evidence. I mean, even if it's just an eyewitness account or something. When somebody comes up and shows me a cast, I'm sorry. It's cool. You have a cast. That is cool. What about the trail? You're not going to learn a goddamn thing. Sorry, and I'm going to say it because I'm riled up. This is not a PG show, right?
No.
Okay. You're not going to learn a goddamn thing from a cast. Look how many casts Jeff Meldrum has, and the man.
We got one right there too.
Yeah. Are you?
Look what's on it.
Bob Titmus, 1967. There you go.
And who below that?
Meldrum. Jeff Meldrum. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Prime example.
Oh, there you go.
Is that the reproduction or was that the original from?
That's basically, it's not the original.
But it's a draw off of the original.
It's from the original.
Okay,
yeah.
prime example.
Yeah, there you
John,
go.
correct me if I'm right. Prime example of that cast. Yeah. They had like 13 prints up to that cast.
Yes.
They followed them. They had vocals. They had eyewitness statements from prior to them getting there. They also had experiences logged in when they went to capture that. They had audio. Yes. They took all the steps to get the evidence. They didn't go find, I found a cast. Ooh, I'm a celebrity.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you see, that cast was, can I say, authenticated by what you saw.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did go to a fellow's house one time because he said he had some Bigfoot casts, and I think I told you about this, Jeremiah. When I asked him where he got them, he goes, Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Really? He bought them from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It's like, where did they come from? Smoky Mountain Knife Works, man.
What is the point? I understand the rule, but don't show me. I'm a tracker. I'm sorry, John, you're a tracker. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Don't show me a cast. I want to see the trail of the cast. Yeah, I want to go follow that trail so I can learn what the thing's thinking.
I mean,
sorry, you'll get me riled up.
No, it's a good. I'm glad you get riled up, man. It's you're in.
I certainly get having the biggest track of a deer that you can have because that brings.
Oh, you're going somewhere else with that.
It brings back. Yeah, there you go. Freaking dirty-minded young. Anyway, you go out after a deer and you got this huge track. I get it. I'm the guy that went out after the deer. I'm the guy that saw the track. I'm the guy that plastered the track, and I'm the guy that followed the trail and shot the deer. Okay, so I get that part of it, and that again, that's for your own records. That's for your own memory. That's for you to sit down there and grab the kids and, your grandfather shot. That's how big the track was, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it doesn't prove anything to anybody down the road.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Right,
You're
but
right.
I have to agree to disagree,
Gary?
though. I have to agree to disagree, though. But if you,
Okay.
like in your situation with that deer track, and Israel, back me up on this because I know you will, you have the prior story, the experiences, and you have the track. You have those memories. But if you're projecting that onto somebody else, now that you have all this correlative evidence, it makes that more believable. And that's exactly what we're trying to do in a court of law, or with the subject matter of the target species, is we are trying to prove that this thing exists. Well, in exactly what you just said, you had all 3, 4, 5 points. You had experience, you had physical evidence, you had the meat that you'd shot it, you had the story behind it. Well, that, to me, Israel, would that not be a good case? I'd have to.
It's funny because I was just writing, because I take notes here now, and I wrote, I think the mentality that we all should start getting into, and you guys probably have it already, is why and what. Why do we collect certain things, and what's the overall end game that we're trying to accomplish, right?
Right.
That's the why. And what's going to give us the most evidence? What's more important? So you say you have a partial print that you found. Is it more important to just take that picture, like he said, the close-up, or is it more important to stand back and take a panoramic, right?
You want to get
what's going on. And we'll take both pictures, obviously, but what's going to give you the most evidence there?
Yeah. Always look at, always. I mean, what was it? It was busted trees. All right. It had to do with trees, and it was on one of the Facebook sites. And I said, hey, look at this. And it was busted limbs. And I got several people. A couple of them were on to what I was doing, but several people were like, oh my God, where was this at?
I see what
you're saying. Then I showed them the freaking picture. It was alongside a road where they had come through with a bush hog and busted the limbs off.
And cut them down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't no Bigfoot. It was a bush hog. A bush hog is a mechanical apparatus, like a big lawnmower for those people that don't know.
Okay. But Israel, you're going to want to get a little bit of everything if you can, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So like you said, you don't want to get the whole panoramic view of the scene itself, but maybe it'd probably be better if you did get a shot of that track as well. To go with
everything. I'm just saying that sometimes, and it happens to everybody, we get excited.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that is true.
So, but if we get into our minds a certain way, and I think we've talked about this before, it's about consistency.
Right.
If you think in your mind all the time, why, what's my final goal here?
Right. Absolutely.
You'll have the process in your mind already, and it'll be second nature.
Yeah. True. Cool. No, I was just curious. But yeah, anyone else got anything to add to that? I think we're getting close to that time, but I mean, that was a good little discussion. I'm glad we cranked one out before, the holidays or whatever. But yeah, anyone, you guys got anything else to add to that? Gary, John, Colin, anybody?
Gary, you go ahead and get riled up. Gary, your rants get raves.
I can see it. I can see it in his eyes. Wait, that's
yes, I can tell too,
through the window.
Everybody knows that this is a very dear subject. Subject, all of us. It's not just me, but
absolutely.
And it just, I really agree with what and of course Israel. We've talked about this privately, and Jeremiah, and we're going to do that other series of shows. Mm-hmm. But we've got to change the mindset that 90% of the populace has about this subject. Come on, folks. I say it all the time. The general attitude outside of the community, they're just a bunch of kooks chasing the tooth fairy.
For sure.
And we've got to change that. We've got to get a professional mentality about us and push the evidence properly, because there's been a lot of evidence collected in the past, a lot of hair samples, but they've not been processed properly. They've not been, like I said, the going, and I hate to say this, and I guarantee 90% of the people in the community will agree with me, the going concept outside of the community is they're just a bunch of crazy rednecks running around in the woods. Well, that's fine. But because we are. But
we are.
We are. Where's the beer?
we do actually have to up our game, and that's where, you know, there are groups out here that are really looking at this stuff scientifically, you know. And I'm hoping pretty soon this door blows wide open on this subject, because it's coming down to the brass tacks and the nut cutting with the species. I mean, we are encroaching on their terrain far greater now than we ever have, and I believe that their population is growing. So we're fixing to have a confrontation. We've had it with every species on the planet.
Yep.
The wolves in Yellowstone, the buffalo. Well, look, one of the most well known, the buffalo, the beaver. In the 1800s, we're looking at it now in South America. You know, we're just demolishing rainforest and killing off, you know, multiple species a day. And I hate to say it, I don't think that these entities or target species, however we say it, is not the average animal. I think they're a little bit more sophisticated than that.
I do too. I think there's a little more to it, but that's for another time, I guess. But I agree. You know, it's how many more species are we gonna wipe out? But anyway, yeah, like you said, Gary, like in South America, you know, how many species? Well, we're wiping them out. We're wiping out ones we never knew existed. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's like killing without even knowing you're killing. You know,
exactly. So I get what you're saying.
But honestly, if you cut it right down to it, I think we're all trying to say it. I know Israel is, and because we've discussed it in depth, and I've discussed it with you in depth, Jeremiah. And I know, John, you're right there too. And Colin's just kind of getting into this, but he's been around me long enough over the past few years.
He knows.
If we don't change our mindset on how we present this evidence and present how we're collecting this evidence, it's never going to get any better.
No,
because the technology and every other aspect of this is growing. Technology and criminal psychology, technology and criminal investigation is growing. We're going to have to up our game to break through this. It's almost like you get so close, like a barrier, and then all of a sudden it's just, that's where a lot of the guys talk about the government conspiracies and cover-ups.
Yeah.
Don't know nothing about that. I ain't gonna say nothing about that because I don't know. But it's almost like you get so close and then boom.
Dang.
It just falls off. Yeah. We've got to break through this somehow. And the only way we're going to do it is with a unbiased education to everybody.
I agree. Good stuff. Agreed. Well, gentlemen, that was awesome. Once again, it's always a pleasure. But yeah, we'll get together after the holidays and we'll crank her back up again. But that was a good little partying for a few days, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff. Thank you, gentlemen. But anyway, you guys have a good, and Gary, I know, when's your wife taking off?
That depends. If we don't get power,
you're right.
Taking off in the morning. If we get power back on, she'll work tomorrow and then take off tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
We're like I said, we're literally. I've got 2 hamsters running in a cage out back, getting chased by my Belgian Malinois, turning the alternator to run. All
right, man. John, have a good Christmas, bud. Colin, you'll enjoy the rest of your leave, man.
You too, gentlemen. Happy Yule.
Yeah, you too, buddy. Yeah. And, everyone, thanks for listening in, and we will get back to you after your holidays. Be good to each other, and I know it's a rough time out there for everyone, but just got to stick together and eventually it'll get better. Hopefully.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
You too, buddy. You too, everybody. We will see you after the holidays.